Hello friends, and welcome to today's episode. Mom starts to worry when she sees that her daughter's backpack is full of cash. When her daughter comes home from school late with a full backpack, she is afraid of the worst. When she finally opens it, she finds something inside that her daughter did all by herself. After a long labor, the young mother and her worried father welcomed their baby daughter into the world. They knew right away that something was horribly wrong. It looked like her legs were different from those of other babies. They were so scared that they looked at the doctors and saw that they were also scared. They knew right away that their child had a long way to go. In just a few days, the little girl would have the first of a series of complicated surgeries that would all help fix her legs. Each surgery left the new parents feeling broken and scared, but they had to be strong for the new life they had made, and the fact that the baby was not in pain gave them comfort. They started looking for solutions right away, but they were hard to find. After going to many doctors, they found out that their baby was born with Larsen syndrome, a rare genetic trait that only 1 in 1,000 people have. The disorder affects the way bones grow all over the body. To make a long story short, her hips were out of place, she was born with a club foot, and her knees were turned backward. Some were as innocent as having a hammer toe, but most had much more serious and long-lasting effects. They wanted to know exactly how much this would affect their baby. The results were even worse than they had imagined. They gave her the name Addie, and her parents will never forget the day they found out about all of her health problems. Her legs did not stand up straight, which would make it hard for her to walk. The doctors told her parents, who were still hopeful, that she might never be able to walk. But they wouldn't give up, and they knew they would do anything to give Addie a normal life. But how did they get started? After 4 surgeries on her legs, the new family was finally able to go home and start their lives. Even though the Texas Scottish Rite Hospital does everything it can to make parents and children feel like they're not in a hospital, it was still nice to go home. Texas Scottish Rite Hospital, because they do everything they can to make it feel like you're not in a hospital. They also take very good care of the kids and the adults. It makes things easier for you while you're there. Addie was growing up nicely, just like any other kid. She could move around in her own way, and her parents were glad that, even though her legs looked funny, they didn't hurt Addie. She thought nothing of it. All of them had a long way to go, but they wouldn't know where it led until much later. By the time she was 7, Addie had had up to 65 surgeries to fix her legs. Thanks to her courage, her parents' never-ending support, and the amazing hospital, she is now able to walk and run like any other healthy young child. But this family had more in store just out of sight. Addie had spent so much of her young life at a Texas Scottish Rite Hospital, either for surgery, recovery, or physical therapy, that she was always happy to be out and about, running around, going to school, and meeting friends. No one even thought she was hiding something really big. Addie was away from home for a long time. She wasn't at the hospital, and her parents thought she was just having fun with her school friends in the summer sun, like all kids should. They had no idea that Addie wasn't even close to playing. Her mom didn't know something was wrong until her daughter's backpack kept getting bigger and bigger, until one day she had to open it up to see what was going on. After her daughter went to bed for the night, her mother went to find the growing bag. She had to know what her daughter was doing every day when she brought something so big in and out of the house. But when she opened it, she stopped breathing as piles and piles of cash fell out. Where in the world did her 7-year-old find a lot of money? She was afraid of what Addie might be up to, so she thought about waking her up right then to talk to her. But she decided that she needed time to calm down, and that she would ask Addie what she had been hiding in the morning. Addie would soon have to face what she had been hiding, but the reason for it was going to be shocking. The next morning, the mother, who was both interested and worried, brought up the huge amount of money her daughter had gotten her hands on. She was afraid of what she might hear, but she should have trusted her daughter, because when Addie started to tell her story, her mother's eyes filled with tears and her heart pounded with pride. She started out not knowing how big her effort would be or how shocked her mother would be. "All I'm doing is holding up a sign that says, 'For my birthday, I want to raise $8,000 for Texas Scottish Rite Hospital.'" Then, out of love for this sweet child who had been through so much, her mother's heart broke. She would do anything to make sure Addie's birthday wish came true. Her mom was now standing next to Addie at the busy crossing in a Houston, Texas, neighborhood. People didn't have to wait long to talk about how kind this little girl was. Doctors had once said she would never walk, but now she was standing in the Texas heat on her own, trying to give back to the hospital that had helped her so much. Her story was soon published, and in a typical snowball effect, it spread quickly and was picked up by many major newspapers and TV stations. Her story kept showing up all over the internet, and her goal of making $8,000 was not only met, but surpassed. How far could she get with her mother's help? Addie had raised almost $20,000 in a very short amount of time, and it didn't look like it was going to slow down anytime soon. One day, a letter and check from someone she didn't know showed up at her door. It was for a crazy amount of money. $50,000 to help kids like Addie. But why did Addie agree to do such a big job for the hospital? As we all know, Addie was born with this terrible problem, and her parents had no idea how much it would cost to help her live a healthy life. When Addie was sick, the hospital was kind enough to help her family. Hospitals like Texas Scottish Rite rely on gifts like Addie's to provide care for kids whose families can't pay for it. Wow, that is a lot of money. I think all of the kids will be happy, and they'll be able to leave the hospital sooner. The media played a huge role in making Addie's birthday wish come true. They spread her message far and wide, and the public's reaction was amazing. Everyone's heart was moved by this young girl. She said, "I might say I got all this money for all the new casts and prosthetic legs." She never thought about the bad things in her life. We can thank Addie's parents for how well they raised her in her short life. She has big plans, which is different from a lot of other people. She wanted to do this. Her birthday wish came true for sure. Addie and her parents showed how important it is to be kind and not care about what other people think. Because she worked hard and did something nice for the hospital, so many children can now benefit from her desire to help people, just as she did when she needed help. That's it for today, friends. Please let us know what you think about this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon for more amazing stories.